boom, shot out of a cannon, go.
Nice shirt.
What? I love this shirt. Mankind. This was, you know how I have the tub of like all the wrestling shirts I have?
Yeah.
I mean, this couldn't have been on the bottom any further unless it would have been underneath.
Did you go to a show and buy it, or you bought that online thinking it was a good buy?
No, well, this was before the time of online. I think I bought this at like 97.
Okay.
98, somewhere in there. My guess is I bought this from a store. If my memory serves me right, I bought this from a store that no longer exists called Ames. Yeah, well, I mean, it was a big store 25 years ago, and now it's gone the way of Sears and Kmart, I guess. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and jump into it. A little bit of a down note to start on. We found out today, not even an hour ago, I'd say, Mean Gene Okerlund had died. Apparently last night or early this morning. Do you have any knowledge of Mean Gene per se?
I remember watching the thing with the put the cigarette out and there wasn't an actual cigarette.
Right.
And I remember...
Put that cigarette out. Yeah, it's a great line.
And then I remember watching him on Legends House, or the WWE Network stuff. And I did not like him on Legends House. He was very mean.
Yeah.
He was mean to that other announcer guy. I felt really bad for that other announcer guy.
Howard Finkel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty mean to Howard Finkel. Well, I really grew up in the time of him being on television. The thing I'll say about Mean Gene is, like, as far as a non-in-ring personality,
mm-hmm.
like, Mean Gene is a shining star of what, like, him and Bobby Heenan and maybe Jimmy Hart, like, those guys from that era, of understanding what it really means to be in the wrestling business. Because they didn't take their spot on the show too serious,
mm-hmm.
yet they took it very serious. Like when they were called to action, when Mean Gene was there to do an interview, he took it as though it was sport and legitimate, and tried to made everything feel, because of his voice and because of his face and because of his attitude. He really tried to make the business seem legitimate, and like you need to watch. If Mean Gene was interviewing someone, you felt like you needed to hear what was going to happen. Okay. So he was really good at that. But at other times, like he wrestled in a match. It was him and Hulk Hogan teaming against, I don't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was in like tuxedo matches that were just goof matches, and like he was in plenty of funny little things as well over the years, where he really took what he did seriously, but he didn't take himself seriously. So he took his job serious, but not himself serious.
Mm.
And I feel like sometimes now, like on the indies and even on WWE television, they take themselves, these non-wrestling personalities take themselves too seriously because they want to seem cool or whatever to their buddies.
Yeah.
And that's something that can trickle down to wrestlers too. You know, sometimes you got to be able to laugh at yourself a bit.
Right.
And that doesn't
sometimes
always happen.
that's the best stuff on television, is the
Absolutely.
funny stuff.
And so, you know, I mean, there's no doubt wrestling has lost one of its all-time great voices.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can hear, just thinking Mean Gene, you can hear his voice in your head.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately being memorable like that. That's the most important thing in the wrestling business. So, you know, I say rest in peace, Mean Gene. You know, he was good for the business, and that's, you know, that's a good thing. So, you know, we don't want to drag the whole thing down here. So let's go ahead and move forward to our next topic, which is John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena came back this week. He was just on SmackDown. I guess he's going to be on Raw next week. What do you think about his entire segment with Becky Lynch and then going into the tag match? How did you feel about John Cena's short return? I don't know how long it's going to be.
I liked his promo before Becky Lynch came out, and Becky Lynch's part was fun. I don't know. I'm kind of with you on the sense that guys and girls shouldn't wrestle each other. I don't like. I'm all for equal rights, but I don't know. There's just something. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's something that we need.
Yeah, I mean they do like the mixed tags now, though. They have the mixed tag
I like
challenge.
the mixed tags. Like I like the men facing the men and the women facing the women. Like I think that that's fun, and I think that the match was good, but I didn't like the idea of Becky Lynch and John Cena fighting.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that, just fundamentally to look at them, if you had a man that was the size of Becky Lynch stepping up to John Cena to fight him, no one would buy that
Right.
in the entire world. So I think that's a tough sell.
I didn't really care for... I really like Becky Lynch. I didn't care for the way she was portrayed last night. Like, I just didn't... I don't know. I didn't...
Throughout the whole segment, the interview.
ending, like, her throwing John Cena out and, like, her going up and, like, being like, I'm just as tough as John Cena. Like, I don't know. I didn't like that.
Okay.
Like, I like the Charlotte... Like, I'm just as tough as Charlotte Flair. I'm just as athletic as Charlotte Flair. But I don't know. I don't know why. It just...
Yeah, it just didn't resonate with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really feel like they've been dropping the ball with Becky Lynch the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put my finger on it. Like, if you're trying to build the next top star in the business, it doesn't feel like they're putting maximum effort into that.
Yeah.
So, and I think SmackDown was another step in that direction, sort of. I mean, rubbing shoulders with the biggest star in the business right now, and maybe can be seen as a good thing, and maybe, her shoving John Cena out is maybe they weren't even thinking of this, but it's a deeper, like, okay, now it's my turn, you get out of here type of a moment. So, I don't know. I would like to see Becky Lynch be the new Stone Cold, the top star in the company, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine they're going to let it happen. I can't imagine, because the way that she's been booked the last 2 months, I just can't, I can't buy into it. I just can't. So overall for me, the John Cena thing was fine. I mean, in and out, do something fun.
Yeah.
And that's what his role is now. He's not going to be a long-term, every week type of a player.
Yeah. You think he'll be at the Rumble?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
But
Hopefully,
after that, do you think he'll be around? Maybe one, like...
maybe from time to time a Brock Lesnar schedule up to WrestleMania,
Okay.
because he'll probably wrestle at WrestleMania.
Right.
What do you think is worse, John Cena's hair or my shirt?
Your shirt.
My shirt is worse than his hair? All right, that's bad hair though. I mean, he's got to do something. It looks insane.
He's got the money. Get some plugs in the back.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So we took a week off last week, so we didn't get to talk about it because I sort of felt like it was sort of a filler week for them guys. They didn't really do much, even though they did have a new champion, which should make you happy.
Yeah.
Last Christmas Day was
Rusev Day.
you got your new champion. Were you happy about how all that played out? And in turn, were you happy with what they did last night on SmackDown with Nakamura and Rusev?
On Christmas, I liked his match, and I liked that he was the closer for SmackDown. Like that was really cool. I did not care for last night's.
His promo was atrocious, right?
It was. I mean, the Nakamura stuff, when Nakamura came in, that was fine. I didn't care for the kick that caused Lana to fall. Like that, I didn't like that.
Yeah,
that looked wonky. But yeah, the promo was... he can't talk. Like, he's good for one-liners. Like, he's good for, like... He can say Rusev Day. He can say, like, look at my beard. It's so luscious. Like, he can say that stuff. But if you give him a microphone and want him to talk for 2 minutes, he can't do that.
I like a certain goofiness and a certain lighthearted comedy involved in my wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Rusev does not have the timing to pull that off.
Right.
Like, he just doesn't have it. Let's not force it.
Yeah.
Like, an occasional goofy line is one thing, but he was goofy for 2 minutes.
Right.
And it did not play very well, and it did not translate very well.
Right.
I mean, he looks like that super athlete that he came in as.
Yeah.
So be a super athlete, make the goofy stuff seem like that was unexpected. Not like, oh, this is what we get now.
Yeah.
Like when he said, like if you want to say goofy things, and you're Rusev, it's got to be what you said, the one-liners. here and there, but it can't be a 2 minute of goof. And that's
Right.
what it was, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it did him any favors.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was his idea or if it was somebody else in the back, but whoever's idea it was the worst thing that Rusev has done in a long time. It was really bad.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with anything that gets Nakamura more television time.
Yeah.
So I was good with that. And Rusev is fine too. I don't have an agenda against Rusev. I like Rusev. I just don't want to hear him do goofy promos.
I mean, that's why Lana's there. Like, Lana can't wrestle. Like, she's there to be Rusev's manager. Like, let her be that.
Right.
Or bring Aiden English back.
Right. Well, I don't know what the story is there.
He
hasn't been on television for a long time. But somebody that is on television a lot is AJ Styles. Mm-hmm. And between last week on Christmas, where he knocked out Vince McMahon, and then this week, in a little promo, we're now getting the real AJ Styles. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the real AJ Styles?
I don't know. I don't get it.
We have the new Daniel Bryan. We have the real AJ Styles.
I understand what they're trying to do.
We have the reincarnated Jinder Mahal. I don't know. I mean, are we just going to add stupid little things to everybody's name? Like the real...
But I don't understand why we needed to change AJ Styles. Like, he was...
doing fine. He's really over.
Yeah, he was
really
over.
Yeah.
Like,
unless you're turning him heel.
Right. But why turn him heel? Because Daniel Bryan's already heel. Like,
and who's our babyfaces then at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, who's our number one babyface on SmackDown? So, I don't know. I didn't,
You said last night you want him to do something different.
Yeah, if you're going to change your name, like Daniel Bryan became the new Daniel Bryan, but changed everything about him.
Right.
Like, if he's going to be the real AJ Styles, then be something different than what he is, and nothing changed.
Yeah.
I mean, because you punched Vince McMahon, that makes you the real AJ Styles? I don't know. Punching a 70-year-old man doesn't do much for me.
Right. And that segment with Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon and AJ Styles, that was really wonky too. I know.
It was horrendous.
We didn't talk about it last night, but I mean, that was like bad comedy.
AJ Styles kept doing this. like Vince and Shane were over here, and he kept going like this.
It's bad acting. It's bad acting.
Right. I mean, AJ Styles is great because of what he does in the ring. Mm-hmm. He's a serviceable promo guy. He's not tear the house down with a promo guy.
Right.
I'll never in my mind understand why, like, if you have somebody that's really great in the ring, why do they have to say a ton of stuff?
Yeah.
Let them have direct points and just get it out and get it over with, but don't make them go on and on. Mm-hmm. You have great guys that can really cut great promos. Daniel Bryan is a great promo guy.
Yeah.
Cena's a great promo guy, and there's other folks on the roster. Dean Ambrose is a great promo guy. Mm-hmm. Let those guys have extended mic time.
Right.
But don't always play to folks' strengths. Mm-hmm. Like, if they're not great at a promo, like when I ran KCW, like, I always tried to accentuate even a guy like, say, Loverboy Lou, who didn't have any strengths. Mm-hmm. Like, I tried to find, like, the little things that made him interesting and present that to the crowd. Mm-hmm. And I didn't try to force him to cut long promos or try to force him to wrestle 15-minute matches. Like, I found what worked to make Loverboy Lou not pull down the show. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, could you imagine if I sent Loverboy Lou out for a 10-minute promo to start the show? I mean, but sometimes they do that. They do that to AJ Styles. They send him out there for 5 minutes to talk. Right. And he's not a 5-minute promo guy. Mm-hmm. He's you want some, come get some, like John Cena would say. But so I don't know. And that's what's happening with AJ Styles. That's what happened with that promo that you were talking about with him and Vince and Shane. It's just forced. And I can't believe in that moment when it's happening, Vince McMahon is sitting there. And I know it wasn't live. I know it was a pre-tape interview. Why you didn't say cut? This has got to be better. It's one thing if it's live and in front of a crowd, there's no second take. But in that moment, that thing was awful, and no one spoke up and said, this has got to be better.
Right.
Or they did, and that's what they gave us as the better. If they cut, and finally got to that, then they got to think, we got to do something different here.
Yeah.
Shane is great or Vince is great at talking. let Vince carry this segment.
Right.
Shane's not great at talking either. He's sort of a one-line type of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Wrestling watching it on television makes my head hurt sometimes. Watching it on the indies makes my head explode sometimes. But that's a different story. One other thing. I don't know if you saw this at all or not, but there's a new wrestling company coming in. Not Imagine Wrestling, like what we're involved in, but All or Nothing Wrestling, or what's it called? There's a new company. It's going to be
All In Wrestling.
All In. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, it's Cody Rhodes. It's the Young Bucks.
It's Kenny Omega.
Maybe Kenny Omega. I read that he might end up signing with WWE.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I just read that yesterday. But how do you feel about another wrestling company on the national stage?
I mean, I only watch WWE. I don't really. I mean, when you put it on, I watch it. I mean, that's kind of something you do with your winter break. Is you
Catch up on wrestling?
Right. You have a whole year of wrestling, and you just sit down and you watch New Japan and you watch
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. So I mean, it's gonna. I think, in my opinion, it would be one of those shows where you build up a year-long thing of episodes and you just plow through them.
Why do you think it is that you have really no interest in watching anything but WWE? Is it because their production value is the best and you only have so many hours in a day? Or because a lot of people, are saying, I see a ton of people say, well, I only watch Ring of Honor. Or I only watch New Japan. But for you, and I think you're in the majority, most wrestling fans, if they're only watching one thing, it's WWE.
Right. I think it's just timing. Like, there's not enough time in the day, and WWE is just, they've got the storyline, and they've got us invested. Where, like, Ring of Honor, you didn't have us watch that when we were kids. I watched WWE. I didn't watch New Japan when I was a kid. That wasn't a thing. So I think that it's just kind of one of those things where, I mean, when you put it on, they've got good stuff on there. I sit down and I watch some of it, but sometimes it just gets too much. Like, I can't sit there all day and watch.
You can't watch 12 hours of Ring of Honor like I did 2 weeks ago, day after day after day.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, okay. That's a good question. All right. Last one for today. Whenever we were discussing what we were going to talk about, you said, do you want to talk about that trash with Mandy Rose? Why do you think, well, if anybody didn't see it, Mandy Rose is doing an angle where she's flirting with Naomi's husband, sending him revealing photos.
Jimmy or Jay.
Jimmy or Jay, one of them. Yeah, I think it's Jimmy. Why did you call it that trash? Do you think it's not good television, or it's just it gets under your skin?
It's good television. I just think that we're like the women's movement, like we're there, but this seems like we're backpedaling.
You think it's backpedaling?
Yeah.
I think it's very relatable because I think, like, don't you think any woman that's in a relationship can sort of relate to, like, oh, that
Yeah. No. Yeah, I can see that, but I don't know. It just seems degrading to Mandy Rose that's all she's good for. She's a sex symbol, and like that's.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of see your point, but I mean, that's something that could happen on any television show. Like that particular story could happen not just on wrestling; it could happen on any television show. And I don't know that relationship status and relationship situations, if done properly, and I feel like this is a good angle. Like I'm curious to see where it goes. I think it's
good television. I agree, it's good television. I just don't.
You think it's degrading to Mandy Rose?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think that it is. I think that if you remember some of the stuff that Trish Stratus did with Vince McMahon, that stuff was degrading. Mm-hmm. It's sort of, in a lot of ways, it's empowering to Mandy Rose. Like she just feels like she can take any man she wants. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I hope that this angle gets the play that it deserves, because I really like Naomi. I think she's a really good athlete, and I think she's sort of fun to watch in the ring. Mm-hmm. And I hope that, I wish that sometimes there was more reasons for people to fight rather than we're just having a match.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the core of wrestling sometimes, that people have to have a reason to fight.
Yeah.
Like, we're fighting to be the number one contender, or we're fighting because you cost me my match last week, or we're fighting because I want to be the champion, and you have the title.
Yeah.
I like the idea of matches meaning something. We're fighting because of something. We're not just fighting because. And that happens a lot right now. We're fighting because. And I think across the entire year, there's been a lot of that. We're just fighting because.
Right.
And I think that hurts the business. Whenever I was a kid, and maybe I'm misremembering, but unless it was a job match, one guy was just there to make the other guy look like $1 million. Any match that you saw, they were fighting for a reason.
Right.
There was a reason to be fighting at WrestleMania, and not just we're fighting because this should be a good match. And that's, to me, I don't know. Maybe that's just the old school mentality within me. But I like a reason to fight, and I think Naomi and Mandy Rose are going to have a reason to fight.
Yeah.
And if given proper time in a match, they should be able to tell a good story with that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anything else you want to cover today?
Just bringing it back to the AJ Styles, and there's a new Daniel Bryan and the real AJ Styles. Seth Rollins, he's also Seth Rollins. He's burning it down again, but more. So
burning. How do you burn something? I mean, if you're by its nature, if you burned it down, what more can you burn? Do you just burn faster?
I don't know. It popped into my head because I remembered Monday night Triple H came out and said, "I want you to burn it down like you used to." And
I don't know.
I think that they're really trying, but it's just not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't need new matches. I need new reasons to care.
Right.
And I don't know that, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm a nerd and I'll be watching wrestling every week until,
it goes off or you die.
Or I die. But I really need a reason to care, and I've not got that lately. So, I mean, you see the way I watch wrestling now. Last night I spent the entire time on my laptop working on Imagine Wrestling stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, it was there. I'm looking here, and the TV's here. And when something catches my eye, I'm looking up.
Yeah.
I mean, the same sort of thing happens with my phone on other weeks. Where
Right.
I'm looking down. I'm scrolling through feeds. I'm reading an article or something, and then something interesting then catches my eye. And I'd love it to be that that's not the way I feel about watching WWE now. I wish it was okay. I don't want to look at my phone. I don't want to do other work. I want to be so invested in what they're doing for the entire 2 or 3 hours that I don't turn away. And I don't know, if that's ever going to happen again. So, all right. Well, we've covered a lot. The big thing we had to cover today, though, is it's Too Sweet time.
No, that shirt.
The shirt is too sweet. I agree.
No, it's hideous.
It's a great shirt.
And that's why you don't get the...
Is it because you hate Mankind?
No.
What do you hate about this shirt? I might start wearing this everywhere.
Okay.
Actually...
In the dead of winter?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I've ever wore this shirt before today. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in 1 week.